going to determine the fate of not only the United States, but of the entire world. And this body, the RNC, is going to be the vanguard of a movement that will work tirelessly every single day to elect our nominee, Donald J. Trump, as the 47th President of the United States, flip the Senate, expand our majority in the House of Representatives.
That's the new head of the RNC, the great Sean Spicer, host of the Sean Spicer Show right here on the First TV, is with us now. Sean, how you doing?
I'm great, Mike. How are you?
Really good. Thanks for being here. What do we need to know about that guy? And let's go back first. What were the problems with the old RNC?
Well, I think there was a concern primarily about how much money they weren't raising. It's not, this is a critical thing. The RNC's job is to work with the nominee to make sure that they have the resources, primarily on the ground, to put people on the ground. Here's the thing that you need to know. The RNC can take a lot more money per donor than a campaign. A campaign can pretty much take about $6,000. The RNC can take about $300,000. Why does that matter? Oh, wow. Things that cost a lot of money, you want to have the RNC shoulder the burden of, right? So your people, your get out the vote effort, all of those things you want the RNC to deal with. Candidates and candidate committees get a cheaper rate on ads. So you want the campaign to focus on all the advertising stuff. And so I don't think that they believe that the RNC was headed in a direction that they thought was going to be able to carry what they thought was the important pieces of the campaign heading into the general election. Trump knew Michael Whatley. He was the prior chairman of the Republican Party in North Carolina. North Carolina, a very closely contested state in the last two cycles, in 2016 and 2020. But in both cases, Trump was a victor there. So I think he looks at the job that Mike Whatley has done in North Carolina and said, I want somebody who's able to fight, who's able to raise the resources, who understands what we're up against, and wanted new leadership.
Okay. Are you happy with Whatley as the guy right now?
Here's what I'm happy about. It's a great question. I believe that what is best for Trump right now is to be in a position where he is comfortable with the players on the ground. In 2016, when I was there, so let me just, in 2016, when I was there, I always joked that it was like that old Reese's peanut butter commercial where the chocolate falls into the peanut butter and you go, wow, it actually tastes good together. We were an unlikely marriage, and it worked out because we needed each other. Trump now has run as an incumbent in 2020 and now in a de facto incumbent. He needs an RNC that he feels comfortable with the leadership. He feels comfortable with the operation that they're running. And so for him to have people in place at all levels of the RNC is critical because it needs to operate as a single unit. It needs to be swimming all in the same direction. And he has that now. So we're not going to get in November, oh, the RNC didn't do that. Your daughter-in-law is now the co-chair. Your chief strategist of your campaign is the chief of staff now of the party committee. This is good for the overall movement. It now singularly rests on Trump to say, I have all of the, I call all the plays. I know how this is going to go. And I think that helps the overall movement. It's in unison.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like even the call of the plays analogy. I'm thinking of literally a football game where someone's up in the booth calling the plays. But if they don't really like each other and they don't get along and they're like, or maybe even like on different teams, like Mitt Romney's niece, for instance, like, like that,
well,
that
also,
may not go
think about
as
it.
swimmingly.
If you're calling plays and the wide receiver doesn't really work for you or necessarily like you, are you going to want to have the ball thrown to them, or do you feel confident in them? But if you control all of the players and you know that they like you, then that esprit de corps, that teamwork is much better. And that's why I'm saying this is a unified effort. I think what we did in 2016 was phenomenal. It was historical, but it was once in a lifetime. It was lightning in a bottle. 2020, I think they ran too much of a corporate type of structure, and it showed. This time, they've got that right secret sauce, and I think it's going to pay off for them in a lot of ways.
Okay. What about raising money for the RNC? So that's like the most important thing they do. I'm not giving $300K, right? So I don't know how these big money people think, what motivates them, why they weren't giving in the past and now they may now. What was the messaging that wasn't working and why will it now work?
So the money that the RNC raises on a monthly basis is basically equally divided between small dollar and small dollar and big dollar. Small dollar folks are the people who give $250 or less in a month. Those are people that you're, maybe answering the phone call, their direct mail, their digital strategy people who are responding to an email or a text or what have you. So you got half the money coming in through that. Then the other half is these big donors. These are people who sometimes they really care about the party. Sometimes they really care about the candidate, or they don't like Joe Biden in this case. And so they have disparate and different interests. The low dollar people are much more passionate about the movement and issues and the fight. They are the guys who pick up the phone for a candidate, put yard signs up, go door to door for you. The other folks, the big dollar donors, you're basically just getting their money. And so there's sometimes a little bit of a disconnect. Why did they wait to give? Well, sometimes it's because they want to know who the nominee is. Sometimes they want to know what the plan is. So the RNC, after there's a presumptive nominee, will start to say, okay, we now have a cohesive effort. Here's what we're going to do on data and digital. Here's what we're going to do for our ground game. And they want to know, if I'm giving, what's my money being used for?
Last question on money. He owes $500 million to the state of New York now. He already gave $100 million for the E. Jean Carroll, whatever. So does any of that money problems that he has at this moment affect the campaign at all?
Yeah, it's a great question, Mike. There's two issues. The bond issue that he's facing for the civil cases, the E. Jean Carroll, he put up the $100 million bond. The one that he's looking at right now, yes, that's different. They're potentially going to use his assets or go after him in some way to get that. Those are all on him. Where I think the greater concern is going to be the ongoing legal fees that he has to pay for the lawyers for the countless cases that they're going after him on. The civil cases, the legal cases, Georgia, Washington, New York. And so he's got to keep paying lawyers. Lawyers aren't cheap. And if you think about, how many different cases, there's X number of lawyers, they have paralegals, they get however much an hour to do that. That is personally draining to him. And I think the question is, and I think that's part of the plan, it's get him off the ballot, financially drain him, and then criminally attack him. This is a three-pronged approach that they have gone after him with. And I do think that we have to understand that money has never really been an issue in the past. He's got a super PAC. He actually has two. But yes, the Biden campaign is going to spend $1 billion+. And it matters because there are only 8 states where this is going to come down to. And when you flood 8 states with $1 billion, you can do a lot. And that's where Trump has to really focus on right now, is making sure that they have the money, that they can do this. Now, just so I'm clear, one last thing on the money. The money that the campaign gets, that Donald J. Trump for president raises, he can do anything he wants with that money. The RNC money that he comes in has to be used towards what they call victory, meaning it has to help the ticket. Now, he's the top of the ticket. So when you get somebody out to vote, when you open up party headquarters, that's ostensibly helping Donald Trump. But they're a little bit more limited in the funds in terms of what they can do with that money. And that's why, as I said, like the teamwork thing, you're spreading it out. Okay, RNC, you're covering this. We'll cover this. You cover that. You hire this person. We'll hire that person. And that's why I think it's very smart the way they're doing it right now, because it's strategic. They actually can sit down. Here are all of our expenses. Here's who's best to cover this. Here's who's best to cover that. But they've got to get people to really engage on the low and the high dollar amounts.
Okay, so it's the spending of money. So Biden has a ton of money, I hear. You know more than me, so correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like, and I don't know anything, that money doesn't make that big of a difference these days because you have social media or whatever. I don't know. Like, does Trump need name recognition? So what is this money being spent on that matters the most? And that if the Democrats have more money on, how does that benefit them so much? Okay.
This is the important part of our discussion. This entire race is going to come down to 8 states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Arizona, Wisconsin, Nevada, New Hampshire, and North Carolina. That's a total of 97 electoral votes. Think about that, right? Trump won in 2016 with 306. Biden ended up getting just about that. So all you need is 270 to win. What I just said was 97 electoral votes over those 8 states. So what are they doing with that money? They're going in, they're IDing every single voter. and saying, Mike Slater, okay, he voted for us twice. He votes early. Let's make sure that he gets that ballot that he casts at. Sean Spicer votes in Virginia. He likes to vote on election day. Does he have a plan? Is he committed to doing that? And you are literally going to almost every single person and saying, okay, Mike Slater, we've contacted him 8 times. He's now voting for Biden. There's no, let's stop spending on him. Sean Spicer, man, he keeps responding to issues about border security. Let's pump him on that. They are trying to have a one-on-one relationship with every voter that they possibly can in all of those 8 states. Identify the ones. Let's stop wasting our time with the Biden voters. These people maybe are a third-party potential, so we need to persuade them our way, unless maybe they're voting for, they were a Biden person that's voting for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Great, let's push them to do that. But you want to do this because the perfect example that I give everyone is in Michigan in 2016, it was won by 10,703 votes by Donald Trump, 0.22%. When you look at 2020, Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia, we're talking 20,000 votes makes the difference. Over 3 states, 40,000 people, less than a half of a Michigan football team, a crowd on game day, decides who's going to be the next president. So you need to ID these people. Who are they? And then are they going out to vote? You and I supporting a candidate doesn't matter unless we actually cast that vote. So everything that they're spending this money on is IDing the person and then ensuring that they have a plan to get to the polls or to mail in or cast that ballot early.
Wow. Okay. So I live in Tennessee now. I just moved here. I've gotten, just the last couple of days, I got inundated with text messages from, I don't even know, the candidates party. I don't know. It's crazy. But I live in Tennessee, which seems like a weird thing to target me.
But they're going after you for money, aren't they? If you click on it,
yeah,
do it at your own will. I guarantee you it takes you to a fundraising landing page. They're going to raise money. The RNC, by the way, raises the most money, not that, out of New York, Texas, and California. Neither, those are not battleground states. But so there's a lot of times you'll see a candidate going to a state that doesn't make sense, but that's where they're raising their money. And the reason you're probably getting texts at this point is they want Mike Slater's money.
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. What do you say to the person who likes Trump, but is so cynical? I'm not even going to put that in. I'm not even going to put that on them. They're sitting at home on the couch watching you right now. They get it all, but they're not going to vote because my vote doesn't count anyway. Who cares? What do you say to them?
It has to count. We will lose. That's the attitude that will lose the election. We need to overwhelm the vote in each of these states. If you don't vote, we lose. That's it, plain and simple. You look at Georgia, we have 2 Democrat senators in Georgia because we came up short because people sat on their hands. What did that mean? Every one of Joe Biden's crazy left-wing people got nominated. If we had put Republicans in one of those 2 seats, we would have been able to stop the Joe Biden agenda. If you don't believe your vote counts, then you're buying into the left-wing talking points. They want you to sit home. They don't want you to vote. You must vote. If you want to go in person and wait, fine, but bank your vote. Here's the thing that people have to understand. As I just laid out that entire thing, it costs money. If you bank your vote early, then you have just saved the campaign and the party committee a ton of money chasing you. Bank your vote as early as possible, and then encourage your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues to do the same.
I got 30 seconds. Are you happy with the current state of maybe not election integrity in general, but the on-the-ground game to watch the polls and watch the counting?
I'm happier than I was. I'm not happy.
Okay.
And that's a
Sean
but
Spicer.
we, and so we need to get there. They need to make me happy.
Yeah, I think so I've been saying that the greatest patriot opportunity right now is if you live in Wayne County, Detroit, or Cook County, to go to your polling location and be a poll watcher. Is that a fair thing to say?
Absolutely, 100%. Let's get involved. I will tell you, this is like the TSA thing. If you see something, say something. 6 years with the RNC, you wouldn't believe how many calls I got where people would say, you know what I saw? I go, great, did you document it? No. That's like calling the police and saying there's a guy that ran down the street stealing something. Can you describe him? No. Do you know what street it was on?
Yeah.
No. Okay, then I can't do anything with that. If you don't document it, it doesn't matter. Get involved, volunteer, and document everything that you see.
Okay. All this wisdom and more, the Sean Spicer Show right here on the First TV. Where else can people follow you, Sean?
Go to the Sean Spicer on YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Spotify. Follow us every night so you never miss an episode if you're traveling and can't watch it on the first.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate you.
You bet, guys.